Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest ITESOFT Insider View. I'm joined by James Donaldson and I'm Rory Smith, and we're going to be talking about whether shared services are ready for digital transformation. Right, so we're going to be talking about a few sort of topics on the subject. So what do we mean by digital transformation? Which are the advanced technologies that you can integrate into your service, how you can set up for scalability, and then talking about master data, business intelligence, and then planning for the future. So, what do we mean by digital transformation, James?
I mean, that's a loaded question, because for me, the average guy, what do you mean by digital transformation? I mean like phones in my pocket, emails going automatically, anything you see on TV, you know what I mean? Like, we're watching Netflix on our phones now.
Yeah.
But what
about in a shared service center?
Oh, yeah. Well, I go straight to the fun things. I don't know. Do I think? I think it's the back office becoming more, removing those physical tasks and moving to online. Obviously, we're seeing it with Microsoft and Amazon. Everything's slowly or quickly, depending on how you feel about it, is moving.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. So I think for the purpose of this this insider view, we're going to be saying that digital transformation means basically using all technology possible or available to digitalize every process possible in the most advanced way. So AI, machine learning, just all the buzzwords, shove them all in.
We're gonna have
see what comes out the other end. Hopefully,
we're gonna talk about lots of disruptive technology. Then,
disruptive, yeah. We're gonna be disruptive.
No work's getting done.
Right. So now we've cleared up digital transformation. Hopefully, we know what we're talking about. I think you could, on one hand, you could just say it means getting rid of paper and being digital. Yeah,
there's so many ways you could say it, though, isn't it? But depending on where you work as well, right?
I don't think digital transformation is going from taking a note on a piece of paper to taking a note on a Word document.
No, it's so much more that you can do with it, right?
Way more than that. It's much deeper.
It's the processes that we're actually digitalizing, not the actual start and finish. It's the middle bit that is removing the unnecessary jobs and making it more efficient.
Cool. All right. So going on to our first bit of data. So from a survey from the Hackett Group, they're saying 97% of finance executives say they believe digital transformation will fundamentally change the way business services are delivered in their function over the next 3 to 5 years, with only 35% report having resources and competencies in place to execute a digital transformation strategy. What about that 3%?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's taking this, and do you want those execs running your business? If they're like, 3%. I'm just not sure if technology is the way to go. Unless they're in these are big businesses, right? This is not just your in a garage kind of thing.
It's going to be where it's going to make a difference.
Well, and I find it weird considering only 35% of them think they've got stuff in place. I mean, obviously we're not there. We're not in the trenches figuring out what they. But what do they mean? Obviously they have old legacy systems. Maybe they've got older systems. Or maybe they have it and they just don't know how to use it.
Maybe they're not entirely sure on what digital transformation means.
Well, I wasn't. I went straight to the fun thing.
And they think it's it is using the most technology you can, but luckily there are people that will help you and do it for you.
Well, yeah, there are experts out there that you can speak to. Precisely. I mean, if 35% of them are unsure, then there are a lot of experts out there that can show them a lot of ways to improve, just depending on where they want to start.
Exactly. So the 3% that don't want digital transformation are probably
on their iPhone.
That's paper companies that are getting cheap rates on paper. So it's cheaper to just keep using the paper. So, technology isn't new to shared service centres. So, I guess the whole point of a shared service centre is that everything is in one place for a reason. It's to make it as quick and efficient as possible, all these processes. So, investing in the next technology is a no-brainer, really.
Well, I mean, that's for any business, right? I mean, if there's a necessity. And then sometimes it's hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to build a business case, you need to build everything, but really, like, future-proof. Like, I mean, if you're look at all the great startups now, they're buying anything and everything that, you know, oh, this is good, this will improve us. Yeah. So if you're not, you're dead in the water.
Exactly. So digital transformation is more than just automation. It is also disruptive.
Another buzzword.
Great buzzword. So, for example, Uber has used technology to change the way a process works, and in the way we think of the process. It's not simply a slightly more automated taxi app.
Do you think, though, what we're talking about, right, the technology that shared service things, it's not going to be disruptive. That's the whole, like, no one's changing the processes. It's not like, oh, this is better. It'll be a similar process. It would just be, process will be faster.
Yes, so I think what's disruptive about the technology is that it is changing the way that people are going to be approaching their jobs. So they're not going to be doing the menial tasks.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing higher level, higher value tasks, which I think is the disruption.
Well, so the disruption really isn't with the technology and more the people that need to adapt to the technology.
Because of the technology.
Yes, but there's like, if you talk about Uber, the disruption there is actually there is like a completely different option now. Do you know, like,
yes.
It's still the same thing though. It's still like, there's still a driver.
Well, you could go and have a job in accounts payable where you're typing in paper invoices.
Well, I mean,
or you could go and get a job in accounts payable where
anyone that walks into a business where it's just like, and get your paper out, and like this actually like, well, I don't really want to do this job, like, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Like, I know I agree with you. It's disruptive in the way that I wouldn't have thought about it, because I'm like, well, that's not really disruptive. This is still the same processes. It's just quicker and better.
Yeah.
But I don't like doing boring things, especially at work. I mean, that is kind of work in a way, but if there's anything that improves the efficiency and makes me actually want to learn, get better at my job, that is actually, it's more of a benefit. It's not disruptive in that sense.
It's disruptive in a positive way.
I just don't like that word. That's why.
It's all right. We'll move on from that. So shared service centres support huge multinational companies, some of which have been around for hundreds of years, and because of that, they've got the legacy systems that go with that. So, you know, that can be an issue when moving forward with digital transformation.
I mean, obviously, like just a minute ago, it's not disruptive, but like when you're so entrenched in an old way of thinking, like that old way of thinking, like this is how we've always done it, then it becomes disruptive. I guess it's maybe the mentality of the people as well that you need to change. I mean, having an old legacy system of those shared service, they're huge. They've got so much things connected. A chain in Germany had the same sort of problem where they didn't even do their proper research on how it worked, and at the end of it, they spent like millions and millions of dollars just to go back to their old legacy system because they weren't prepared mentally to change. Well, they didn't do enough research on how it works and how it affects their processes. If the process would be the same, to be different. So
they just saw something flashy and shiny and said, let's buy that.
They went to the big people. The big people were like, we can do it. We've done it before. And I'm sure they've done it. Of course they've done it before. It's their job. They went to consultants. They had it was full ball. At the end of the day, it just, they don't know who to blame, but it went wrong somewhere. And that's the most disruptive, I think, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's an important step, but it's a necessary step.
Yeah, I bet it's terrifying as well to be part of that project, but it's got to feel good when it all goes right.
Oh yeah, I mean,
which
like
it should.
Fresh Ferrari, right? Like it goes fast.
Exactly. Moving on, robots can now receive and respond to emails and can receive and pay invoices without any human intervention, which means that people have more time to do less boring tasks, such as doing things that might gain value for the company. Well,
I mean, that's the only reason we invest in technology, isn't it? It's not like to waste people's time. It's just helping those people move on. It's then not move on, but move towards educating themselves better. I mean, I know when I'm always learning, I'm happier rather than just sitting and doing the same menial tasks. And they're important tasks. Let's not say they're not important, because money in and out of the business. I mean, that's how businesses run.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I mean, the execs up top, they just want to be as efficient as possible.
Definitely. Yeah.
So if you can remove those people from typing the same code, you know, coding in the same like numbers, typing in the same letters, ringing the same people,
yeah,
back and forth, you can remove them and then give them, you know, push them to something they might do to improve the company or to improve themselves. They're going to be happier, more productive. They're going to enjoy coming to work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and
less sick days.
Less sick days. I mean,
sick days.
Yeah, I know, less sick days. I've been tempted as well. Like, there's just these days where you wake up and you know it's going to be the same, and you know people rely on you.
Yeah.
But you know, you look at it and you're like, this could be done quicker and faster just by an email.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's some organisations that are still walking paper.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I'm all for robots doing the tasks that we don't need to do.
Definitely, if they can, let them.
Yes.
Right, so now we're moving into integrating advanced technologies into your service. So we've got some data here from a survey from Shared Service Link. In 2018, they asked, are you using RPA in accounts payable? So, I mean, the data kind of speaks for itself. You've got 3% answered, we're not thinking about using RPA in accounts payable.
Wonder what they're using. Is that there? Like, that's the 3% again, right? That's like,
that's
no,
the 3%.
Just not sure just yet. We're gonna wait another 5 years.
And then we've got 22% that are live with RPA.
I mean, that should be more really. I mean, they're moving. It obviously depends to a lot. It comes down to a lot of things, doesn't it? Like, let's be honest. But I mean, any way you can make your accounts payable more efficient,
yeah,
it is. You know, any way you can save money.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, like, that's fundamentally it. Anyway you can save money.
Yep.
Make any, like, why would you not? There is a business case there.
Definitely.
Just at that, like, save money.
Yeah.
Tick.
I think that's probably highlighted then by the nearly 60% of companies that were evaluating or thinking about using RPA.
Yeah.
In accounts payable.
Why do you think they're thinking? Is the question. Like, why hasn't it? I know that's a hard question because we can't really ask.
I mean, it's obviously lots of different scenarios, but potentially things like budgets.
Would they already be using a form of RPA they don't know as well?
Maybe.
Like, I mean, obviously to a basic form. I don't mean like they actually have systems in place, but like there's little things here that make, you know. Yeah. It's just an interesting thing. I would have thought it may be a bit higher, but I know restraints of businesses.
Maybe they just wanted to sound smart and they, you know. Oh yeah, we're definitely thinking about it.
Yeah, like, what's RPA?
We know what that is. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a good step. I've spoken to a lot of people, and they're always saying they're looking at stuff.
Yeah.
So at least they're informed. At least they know.
Yeah.
There is a lot of options out there today, and like you hear the fancy word RPA, and then you know what it means.
Yeah.
But then everyone has a different interpretation. So that might be why they're thinking about it. Like, well, I spoke to Steve, and Steve told me to do this.
Yeah. And
then I spoke to Gary, and Gary was like, no, it does that, but it can do this. And Stephanie was like, well, it doesn't do any of that. So it might be at that point now where like all these companies are merging, and they're just trying to like get their way out. And I think that's maybe why people have kind of done a lot of research rather than adapted it quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're in a busy role as it is, doing research on something that, you know, they potentially don't understand. Or, you know, it can take up a lot of time, and when you've got other things to do like month end, year end.
Would you say like the finance people are looking into this, and do you reckon they kind of understand what this is? Or I
think it's down to finance to do the research or to understand it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's the person on the front line that's going to be the best person to have a suggestion to make a change. If you're doing the process, like when I was working at the local authority and I was right at the bottom of the ranks, my first office job, piles and piles of paper, copying and recycling, and it was awful. And then I said, let's try go paperless.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the big bosses, like right at the top, directors were saying, "This is great. We've been trying to do this, but when it comes from the top down, it's not met with as much enthusiasm. When if it's from the team."
Yeah.
So the fact that it was me saying, "Let's go paperless. I'm sick of using all this paper," and it meant that I could then be the voice within the team to sort of, if your boss says, "Now we're going to do this completely differently," like not your boss, but their boss's boss, and you're thinking, these guys have never done this job. They don't know how hard it is. They don't know,
Well, I mean,
I don't even think it's possible.
It could be the same stuff for you, right? Because then you had to obviously you're not a finance professional at the time, but for them, the finance professionals, they know nothing about RPA.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've been focused on numbers.
Yeah.
Now, so obviously they're gonna have. It's not just gonna be one person. Unlike you, who was really pushing it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a community, a council, a group that will look into it. But there's gonna be some I don't even know what this is. I mean, I'm sure that was kind of what you were like. You didn't know where to start. You didn't know what to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had no idea about, automation or RPA or any sort of paperless technologies.
Yeah.
But as far as I saw it, that was as simple, because all we were doing was storing files.
Yeah.
And sharing information for meetings. So.
I bet a lot of the older generation as well. We're well, we've got laptops, or we've got tablets.
Yeah.
I emailed you, and you're that's a step.
Yeah.
But they didn't understand any further as well.
The thing was moving the records from paper to digital, and literally it was as simple as having a folder on a shared drive that people put stuff in instead of printing it off and putting it in a paper.
Did they still print it off?
Yeah, because you can't trust the cloud data service that's backed up in 3 different locations across the county, and blah blah blah. But if there's a fire in the office, all of this information is gone.
Yeah.
And then we had the other managers that they all had laptops, and they were like, "Yeah, everyone should use laptops, but not me, because my eyes hurt if I stare at a laptop screen for too long."
I mean, he wasn't lying.
Well, what are they doing for the rest of the day when they're sat at their desk working on their computer?
It's my lunch break. I'm just going to pull up Netflix now.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, your eyes not hurting anymore.
No.
Yeah, it's obviously people are creatures of habit. So, I mean, maybe the cultural change. That was your biggest.
Yeah, definitely. It's about managing people and their expectations. But anyway, I digress.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So we've got some more data here. You'll be pleased to know.
More.
From Shared Services Link, same survey, 2018. Has your company implemented AI in P2P? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I would expect this to be less, to be honest.
9% have said that they have.
Yeah.
And then we've got 32% that are piloting AI.
So what is AI and AP then? Just
in P2P?
The basic. I mean, obviously it's the deep learning and all that stuff.
Machine learning.
Deep learning. That's deep learning.
Yeah.
No, it's machine learning. It's the machine learning at the start, right? It's the ability to capture information and then just let the machine.
It's more about taking the information from, in this case, invoices.
Yeah.
And understanding it, and if it doesn't understand it, learning about it. So when something happens multiple times, it can know to expect that thing to happen, or that bit of data to be in that place, or to have, for example, from changing the way that you label stuff on your invoice from PO number, purchase order, invoice number, whatever you label stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ability to understand all the variations, and coming across a new one and then thinking, does this seem right? Does this, and not then flagging it up and saying, oh, I don't know if this is a PO number, but instead just going, yeah, it's a PO number. It says
just in case it's just in the wrong spot, but it's still I mean,
exactly.
Using its own eyeballs rather than human eyeballs, wasting their time.
Exactly.
But I mean, this is fairly newer technology as well, right? I mean, it's been around for a while, but it's really coming into its own with the.
I think it's the accessibility that's really pushing it at the moment. This kind of technology has been around for a while, but it's always been very expensive and costly.
Mhm.
Now we're moving into a faster paced society. We've got the cloud and SaaS technology that really helps bring the price down when you don't have to implement a piece of software into a company's physical network. You can just stick it in Microsoft Azure in the cloud, and they just have to go to Chrome or whatever and type in the address, and then the software is there. It's like Facebook and Netflix. It's ready to go.
That next line there just proves what you just said, right?
Yeah, they're piloting it. They're ready. You know, people want to learn, and people want to try, because, as you said earlier, if they're not trying to do something to benefit their company, or they can see something that's a cost benefit and they're not doing it, then that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, it's a benefit in any shared service system when there's so many functions just going like all at once, right? Like
exactly.
Just streamlining it.
Exactly, streamlining your processes. So then the same number, 32%, saying they understand the opportunities of AI but need further education.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
That's fair enough.
It's where they want to get educated and how they.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many options though. That's the not the problem, but sometimes it is a bit of a problem. There's just so much information.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this, like I said before, this does this, that does this. It's like,
yeah.
I think you need to just look at your own business and decide this is where the area you want to go in.
You need to know what you want to do.
Yes.
And then try and find somebody that fits that, and don't let other people persuade you to doing other things.
Yeah, it's like, but this thing has a button, and it's like, well, I'm never going to need that button, but it's good to have that button.
we can put the kettle on whenever, every 100 invoices that's received.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great, but I mean, yeah, you could do that, but everyone's having tea every 5 minutes, so
it's like,
we want it always hot.
It's like those people are like doing other more important things. There's no time for tea anymore.
Exactly. Figure out what you want, and then find someone that fits that. And then if somebody comes to you with an alternative, make sure that you understand it and you know that it's really going to benefit you, and it's not just another bell and whistle to spend more money on.
Yeah.
Or if the other systems actually do that as well, they're just not making any noise about it, and these people are making noise about it so they can charge you more. So, how to make the most of RPA and AI in shared services, right? So we've got 3 points here. First point, as we said, audit your work streams and find areas ripe for automation.
Yeah, we said that a moment ago, didn't we?
So you need to figure out. Well, actually, this is good because you're not starting. If this is the beginning of your digital transformation, you're not starting with the most complicated process, right? So you got to find the processes out of what you do in your shared service center, figure out what can be automated, and then figure out which are the most, which ones are going to benefit the most from automation, so you can then cut that list down a little bit further to figure out what you're going to start with.
Yeah.
And then the second point here, I'm not going to swear, is talk to your technology partners, right? So this is using the experience and knowledge of your partner companies, to discuss, what you can use RPA and AI for, how it's going to benefit you, and then get some pricing, things like that. Do a bit of research into the industry, but try and keep it. You want to make sure that you know what you're talking about and you know what you're about to do, because you're not going to jump head first into a project.
You'd think most people would do that anyway, right?
Yeah. But you also need, I guess you're going to have a little bit of trust here in the people that you're talking to.
Well, I mean, if you already got their solutions in place or whatever, and you're going back to them, we assume it's But then again, I've heard stories going like, oh, it's not doing what we wanted to do, but they won't let us go anywhere else, so we're going to go here.
I mean, if you're, for example, one of your partners is saying that they don't do it, but they can do it for you. They'll charge you a bit of money to try and knock something together. Probably not what you want to do. You probably want to find someone who.
Obviously, they'll do it at a cheaper price, but are you willing to take to take it at a cheaper price and have something good enough?
Yeah, I mean, would you would you buy a bottle of wine from, a
Yes,
company if it was cheaper?
Yeah.
A company that does everything, and so you already buy your cereal from Kellogg's.
Would you buy wine from
They
Kellogg's?
bring out a Snap Crackle and pop wine.
I mean, you're doing a very good job of selling it, to be honest with you. Yeah, you're like, yes, I would. Well, no, there's a difference because
you're going to go to the trusted wineries that you've been drinking, and not necessarily been drinking, but they've been making wine for hundreds of years. They know how to make wine.
What's even worse is, this is onto yours, is like when I speak to some people and they're like, oh, our own IT guys are going to do it.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, so they know, they're probably really good guys. They know some sort of coding.
Yeah.
But now you're adding another job on top.
Yeah.
To an already like, oh, we're gonna buy this thing and we're just gonna do our own thing here and connect it here, and it's like you're gonna spend a lot of time and effort for something that they might not have any experience in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people like us, there's multiple people that have multiple years of experience, and they're willing to like obviously go back on the wine, make wine in their bathtub, and think it's going to be as good as going to the shop.
Exactly. But not only that, but once they leave the company, you don't get any more of their bathtub wine.
Yeah. What? Exactly. It might be cheaper. It might do the job, but you don't enjoy it.
Yeah. So like, what happens when they leave, and you come to a problem, and the whole thing's messed up,
mm-hmm.
and nobody knows what's going on because this guy did all the coding, and
he's gone now. Yeah.
He's not left any notes because why would you?
I mean, he's done his job. He doesn't care anymore. And then now when he gets complaints, he's the guy they have to go to, and he's just like, I don't really want to deal with this.
Exactly.
So speak to people with experience is what it comes down to, and then speak to people that you're working with already, because what you're happy with is the first thing, and if not, branch out. Yeah,
make sure that you're comparing as well.
Yeah.
Don't just go to one person.
There's too many technologies not to these days.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but like, do your own research first.
Yeah.
And then figure it out.
Yeah. So then moving on to the third point, we've got start small and think in terms of measurable value. So here we're going with pretty much take the easiest route first.
Yeah.
As I said, don't go for the most complicated, most expensive, process to automate or to, there's loads of different variances and all this kind of stuff. Find something simple and easy that's only got a couple of variables, and then look to automate that. It's going to be
that's anything, isn't it?
Give you experience in automation projects, which is then going to help you do the more complicated ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's also going to help you understand the benefits. So if you want to find something that's easy to do but is affecting a lot of people.
Well, 100%. I mean, like my own personal experience is like I like doing things. I like buying things, right? Like, so the other day I bought like a paint set, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna paint like Da Vinci right away, and I had the expectations of like, I'm doing all this and this, and then I looked at it and like, well, this is not very good, and I was disheartened. What I should have done is started small.
Paint by numbers.
Numbers.
Happy accidents.
Yeah, like, follow it lightly, do the easy stuff first, learn, and then paint like Da Vinci.
In a couple of days.
Yeah, in a couple of days.
Time.
And that's the same thing as picking, like you said, don't rush in thinking you're going to solve every problem straight away.
Exactly.
Go in, pick something that, like you said, affects a lot of people, for sure. You're not, it might not be the smallest thing, it might not be the biggest thing. It might only impact a certain thing, but it's going to have a broader aspect over time. And
also make sure that you can measure what's happening, so you can measure the effect that the technology has had even on the company, on the employees' time, company spend on employees' hours, things like that, and also is it gaining you money from other sources? So if you're putting technology in where there was paper, you could be saving money on postage, envelopes, printing, space. Exactly. Going digital, I mean, like, it's easy just to look at it, right? Like, you used to have this massive, like, and even in your lounge room, like, you'd have like a massive TV and there'd be nothing else. And now you can have this like tiny little TV in this wall, and you've got so much extra like space.
you don't really need anymore. Like, so it's the same in the office, right? You don't need several hundred filing cabinets anymore.
No, it's true.
So it's using what you have, or it's even downsizing, save yourself some money.
Also, like, you know, massive bookshelves full of VHS, DVDs,
Yeah,
and,
right, that.
CDs and books and things like that.
Well, I mean, there's nothing like a good book, but yeah, even like,
yeah.
but putting it in your bag and carrying 10 of them to like that, when you have one Kindle, that is easy. That's digital transformation.
Hey,
That's disruptive
if
technology.
you can read 10 books at a time.
No, well, I mean, you don't have to.
You're wasted here.
But it's on your phone. It's like on your phone. Like that's.
True.
I'm gonna be like, I read like a chapter and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Like that's all I need. Well, that's a good book.
Read the
Yeah.
last page. All right, cool. Okay. So moving on, we're talking about scalability now.